Hey guys, Nice Tail here, bringing you, well, it's not a review. I'm not actually going to do a review of this knife. This is just going to be one of my little summaries. This is the Petrified Fish Scholar. This knife is in wood handles. Uh, there are multiple different types of wood. I don't really particularly remember which one this one is. I like this one. I think this is ironwood. Yeah, this is ironwood, and there's also one in olive wood and some medium color wood, or at least there was at one point. Titanium pocket clip, titanium backspacer. Actually, is that a titanium backspacer? I'm pretty positive it is. It is definitely a titanium backspacer. Is the liner steel? Good. Okay. I didn't want that to be titanium. It's directly interfacing with the back of the blade. And 154 cm. This is the Petrified Fish Scholar, as I said, and this thing is a budget knife. You would never know that based on what you're actually getting. This is what, $55, $60? At least they used to be. Maybe they've went up. Everything's went up, but this defies budget knife. I mean, if you look at the finish and execution of the wood, the titanium clip, the execution of the blade 154 cm, the steel, the minor, like finer, not minor. It's not minor. It's fine, but it's not minor. It's important. Just those little extra bits of touches and executions. I mean, it's got a crown spine. This knife does not scream budget knife to me. It doesn't scream like super premium knife, but it definitely doesn't say $60. You're getting a lot for your money here. So why am I not doing a full review of this knife? Well, I got a goofy one. I got a QC mishap. This whole knife is pretty screwed up. So I didn't feel it was fair to really do that because I've have 3 other petrified fish, and I think I've done reviews on 2 of them. And I mean, all of the other ones that I've gotten from them have been perfect. They've come out of the box perfect. I've been very impressed. They have good quality. They have good fit and finish most of the time. This is a wacky one, and I don't think it's necessarily right to judge this particular knife on that. But whenever you do budget knives, you always run the risk of getting something a little bit fruity. Fruity, yeah. What's fruity about this? Well, first of all, that it is not centered. It will not center. It is ground off, though not too bad. It's a hollow grind. It's not hard to misgrind a hollow grind. Let's be honest. But the blade itself does kick off here at the end. It's not perfectly straight. The other thing that this knife had going for it, which is not a good thing, is that it wouldn't lock up. I could literally take this knife in my hand and apply pressure to the spine and pop it closed. It was basically, it felt more like a detent joint, slip joint kind of thing when I got this knife. I did take it apart and sand this lock bar down. Somehow, I have no play in there, and it now locks up. So while it wasn't hard, it did take that little bit of extra work. So, this whole knife is kind of like that one guy, like suffered heavy whiplash as a child, and everything since has just been sort of canted off slight kilter a little bit, it's off. You can't help but taking that like sideways stare occasionally and just being like, how in the world do you stand with that tilt? You know what I mean? Do you know what that is? Do you have anything like that? No. Okay, maybe it's just me. It isn't just me, but I've seen it. Insert Leaning Tower of Pisa joke here. Now, as you can see, the action's great. It's super smooth. It's on bearings. It's great. It really is. Everything other than those two areas that are, and I can reverse flick it off the hologram, except for those two areas where there were obvious mishaps, everything about this knife says it should be great. And I'm thinking that the non-QC funky ones probably are pretty great. Let's take a quick check of the blade length real fast. It is 3 5/8. You got about 3 inches of actual cutting edge due to this huge choil. It's very razor-esque. Overall, it's 8 1/4. Not terrible on the ratios, though. I suppose the cutting edge is a little bit low, but again, you've got that sort of straight razor aesthetic thing, so it kind of works. It just... I don't know. It does look... To me, it looks like the name Scholar is appropriate, right? It just looks a little bit more purposeful, gentlemanly. I don't know why. It's super light, like deceptively light, despite it having actual full liners in there. 3.56, so 3 5/8 on the blade length, 3.56. That's not bad, really. I mean, that's over an ounce. I mean, under an ounce an inch for blade length to weight ratio. Blade length to weight ratio. Duh. And it's got full, I mean, milled liners in there, but they're in there. Both sides. This is featherweight. It really just feels really good. Where's the balance on it? It's, I mean, right where the primary grip of the knife is. It honestly almost feels more well-balanced than it even is. It feels very like this is where it's at. Well-balanced right here. It's nimble. It's got a great utilitarian blade shape. Deep hollow grind. It is nice and thin behind the edge. Let's see. Can we ever get the hollow grind? Yeah. That actually worked out well. Thank you, camera. It is sterile. I guess they wanted to keep that very, like, efficient looking kind of... I don't know what to call it. It's just aesthetic. They got their logo here, but I don't mind the Petrified Fish logo on the pivot. It looks designy enough that it just looks like a design. And yeah, they got the code number down here for their knife. There it is. Which, down there, that far hidden away, I don't mind. I don't normally like seeing codes when they're up here. Don't need that. But this, I'll take this. 154 cm. Good blade steel, especially for the price point. And again, titanium. All of this. It's all there. It's all good. Mine just came wonky. I have since got it to function, and other than being off-center now and hitting my table, this is a really cool and interesting knife, and the design I really do like. Oh, the only thing that I will say is I am not a fan of front flippers and crown spines together. If you're going to do the crown spine, which is fine, don't crown the jimping area of the front flipper. I think I've talked about this probably before. When you do that, you got your crown spine, which is, you know, the curve, and then you got your jimping. So then you've got basically the curve spot with spaces in between. So you've got an apex that you're pushing into, which is this top area of the curve, and you've got spaces in between, making very thin pieces of steel that you're basically interacting with. It feels honestly not as grippy as you would think it would. They oftentimes do. But they can also feel a bit uncomfortable. Like, I'd use the side of my finger because the front push on this thing is okay, but it's just not that satisfying. I don't feel like I have the purchase, but it's also kind of just not great feeling. In this case, I slip off of it a little bit. I don't know. I'm just never been a fan of crowned jimping. And they don't have to. You just crown up to this point, and then put the jimping in, and it would work perfectly fine. Other than that, I actually would even say this is recommendable. It's a really cool knife, and I like it, especially at the budget price that it sits. I like what Petrified Fish is doing, and that's everything from me. It took a little bit longer than I wanted, but there were a number of things that needed to be talked about. So, thank you, and I apologize for the weird little story in the middle. Yeah, okay, sure. Let's just end it here. See you guys. See you in the next one.